to call to order the informational meeting for Monday, October 4th for the Romeo Downtown Development Authority. If everybody could stand and say the pledge with me. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Lisa, you want to do roll call?
Yep. Tar, Humphreys, Melzan.
Here.
Brandt.
Here.
Rose.
Here.
Hayes.
Here.
Poznanski. Here. Stevens.
Here.
And Parker.
Yep.
Can I get an approval of the agenda?
Motion to approve the agenda.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Okay. So it doesn't look like we have anybody joining us this evening, so I asked Lisa how we proceed with this meeting. Was there any new highlights to this that you did from the last time we did this? I see you're listing projects for 2022.
Right,
Yep.
so, I know you're gonna work with Elizabeth to expand the outreach programs, goals. I added that, I put in here that the crosswalk project revenue sharing agreement was reached, and the construction will begin in 2022. That the village, that the DDA and the village agreed to work together to upgrade the lighting, and that's something that's in progress. And I just, past successes in projects, I put that the DDA TIFO development plan update is in process, and the public hearing date is October the 18th. Basically just listed, what we've done in the past, the benches, the Christmas lights, the flower bed, the mural, the clock I took the clock out, I was just trying to save space. But, again, it's just an informational meeting so that.
This is mandated by the state,
This
correct?
is mandated by the
Okay.
state. It's mandated to happen twice a year.
But going forward, I think we talked about this last year, we should probably do one in the spring and one in the fall.
Right,
Yep.
and when I resigned in April,
Got
being honest, it just wasn't on my radar.
Mhm.
So, but again, we have another one in December, it probably won't look, well, it might look different. It might look different, Elizabeth could take off running and we could have all kinds of things done by then, so,
Has anyone ever come to one of these?
They came, I said last November, the Bruce Township folks were on our Zoom meeting, the newly elected.
Right.
It was second meeting, maybe?
Yeah, the newly elected folks, I don't think they knew.
Mike was on that.
Pardon me?
Mike was on that, you're right.
Yes, I don't think they knew exactly what it was. So other than that, I don't think Lisa's ever had anybody come.
No, I was telling Kelly, after I sent the agenda out, the clerk from Washington Township came over and asked me what it was, and I told him what it was, and then I emailed out that sheet to the three clerks, so they have it, and so they've been able to read it, so they can see, and I also included in the email that if they had any questions, they just needed to email and
Okay.
respond.
Do we have any comments from the board members regarding?
You make a motion to adjourn?
Second.
Okay. All in favor?
Aye.
Okay. All right, everybody, we're going to call to order the October meeting for the Romeo Downtown Development Authority. If you could all stand and say the pledge with me. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. Lisa, can you do roll call, please?
Yes, Tar?
Yes.
Humphreys?
Here.
Malzahn?
Here.
Brandt?
Here.
Rose?
Here.
Hayes?
Here.
Poznanski? Here. Parker?
Yep.
Stevens?
Yes.
All members are present.
Thank you. And it does not appear we have anybody for public forum. So can I get a motion to approve the agenda as presented, or does anybody have something they want? Do you want to add something?
Well, the conference that I sent you.
So under new business, she has some paperwork here on the annual downtown conference that Elizabeth will talk about.
I'll make a motion to approve the agenda with that addition.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Oh, okay. We have two sets of minutes in our package to be approving. We have our regular meeting minutes from September the 13th.
Kelly, can there is an edit that needs to be made to those. When I was typing, I was probably looking at the clock, where it says Tar arrived 7:06, or it says 8, needs to say 7, and Humphreys 7:10 is what it needs to say.
Okay.
So that needs to be changed.
There's some typos also.
Yeah, is there another one?
Did you get the one under banners? Says no linger to be no longer.
Okay.
And then on the back page,
Yep, the date.
there's another one, hang on. Under board member comments, first paragraph, third one down, this is a great reflection of their, and that's place, it should be D-T-A-P-I-R.
Gotcha.
Possession.
Double check is not always correct.
And there's also one in the director's report.
Yep, I got it.
Okay. Can we get a motion to approve September 13th meeting minutes with the suggested edits?
So moved.
Support.
All in favor?
Aye.
Okay, on to September 22nd. That was our Zoom meeting to open the bid for the Christmas decorations. Can I get a motion to approve those minutes?
Motion to approve the minutes for the 13th,
No, 22nd.
22nd, sorry.
I support.
Brant, did you support?
Yep.
All in favor?
Aye.
Okay, that takes us to Carol and your treasurer's report.
Okay, yeah, I put it for you.
Okay.
Okay, first one is the actual treasurer's report, this is one that has my signature on it. And I struck out, transfers, so that it subtracted them out. And the actual, we received a deposit from the village of Romeo for $120,177. And then we have checks, for this month for $18,098.92, and they consist of, I paid Carl for the mulch, I gave Romeo Historical Society $500, Romeo Chamber $800, I paid a payment to Vans Valley of $3,412, and then I paid a phone bill for $68.21, and we used the credit card for a domain name renewal.
Mhm.
Okay. And then we also used the credit card for past due AT&T. For some reason, I didn't get any bills for 5 months.
I
So
wonder.
I don't know where they went to.
Yeah, where was it going
But we
previously?
didn't pay one
It didn't come
since
here.
May.
It
I
would've-
double checked it.
Where was the bill going previously?
The village,
To the village office? Okay.
so I don't know what happened, but it's fixed.
It was
And
going to the
then,
village, or was it, well, it wasn't coming to my
I paid,
place?
60% on the, winter greens and holiday light installation. And I paid for the harvest lights, I got the checks, I haven't sent them. And then I also have a check for $134.55 for the one ad with the record newspaper.
Was that a want ad, or is that
That's
the posting for the public?
Posting, yeah.
Okay.
And then at least I had one paycheck and it covered almost 3 months. So that's what I got.
Carol, how many years was that domain name renewal?
Louder.
How many years was the domain name renewal for that $300?
I'm gonna ask Kelly.
3.
So does that cover any web hosting too, or is it just the domain name renewal?
Was just the domain, well, it had to do the web hosting because they took the website down. So it was,
Okay,
it
so
was
it's-
both.
all right.
Yeah.
Okay, so I'm looking for, somebody to say okay.
Where's payroll on this list? Payroll?
Last
The last
number,
one is the paycheck for
$404.
Lisa.
That's almost 3 months worth of payroll.
Does it need to note specifically on here what that deposit was for and who it was from, or is it okay just having?
The 120,000.
I know it was from the
village,
village, but does it need to be noted on here, or is this?
If you wait, it's farther down.
Okay, all right. I'll make a motion to approve the bills to pay as presented.
That's the $18,098.92, correct?
Correct.
Support.
Hayes,
Yes?
Poznanski,
Yes.
Brandt,
Yes.
Parker,
Yeah.
Rose,
Yes.
Carr, Melzan,
Yes.
Humphries,
Yep.
Stevens,
Yes.
motion carried.
Okay, the next one will be your revenue sheet. It says, estimated TIF income for the DDA as of today's date. You can see on your right-hand side, you see 2 postings dated 9/20/21. The first one is for the millage that the, village paid, the real estate one and the personal property one. And then down further,
Carol, I got a note from Tim at the village.
yeah, that's the bottom part.
Okay.
Yeah, I got it changed. The bottom TIF is, they gave us 88,000 plus from the general fund, 10,000 from the municipal street, and 5,000 from the cemetery. So that check was for 103,505.36. So we've received 120,177 so far. I haven't gotten anything from anybody else. I did send out emails today to ask when they were paying.
When is that supposed to be due?
Isn't it like 30 days after after the end of the tax collection?
So a couple weeks?
Yeah,
Well,
and
that's
I
September
think that the
16th, right? So they have
bills
till,
were due the 15th of September.
it was September the 16th, I believe, so they have until October.
Yeah, so they should be sending it anytime. Okay, the next page says balance sheet. That's
So,
just-
wait a minute, I want to go back. You-
Okay.
So you did change the tax rate from the 14
Yeah, it's
to the correct?
14,975. What it was I still had the old
Right.
calculation of 14,500 in the thing there. So,
Okay.
you'll also see our budget, is the last column, and that's what we got approved for our budget. So we're pretty much on target, a little bit behind right now, but a little bit ahead on one, a little bit behind on the other, so eventually by the end of the year, it should work out.
Okay.
Carol, do
The
you?
next one is balance sheet, and it's just kind of a reminder to let you know what we've got allocated out of the certain funds. Our investment account is up to 300,000 now, but we've got 131,000 committed of that money to share with the village. And then, we have 80,000 of uncollected funds, and that just kind of shows you how much Bruce Washington and what we expect to get from the state of Michigan. So I went and got that out. And then the last one is just your, actual money spent against budget, so you can see if we're doing any budget items today, if they're in the right spots. And also so you can see how much we've spent. Any other questions?
Motion to approve the treasurer's report?
I don't think we have to
Oh,
approve
no?
it.
Okay,
It's information for you guys.
okay. So no questions from anybody then? Nope. Okay.
Thanks, Carol.
You're welcome.
Lisa, the DDA director's report.
All the normal meeting stuff. I did make the edits that needed to be made to the public hearing notices for the DDA update. Amanda reviewed those edits, approved them before I sent them out. I made the edits to the cover letter, sent all of them out to the taxing authorities. Everything that went to the taxing authorities was actually sent certified mail. So those were all sent and delivered. There was 107 taxpayer labels for
Which,
village property.
that worked out well with the county putting that mailing.
Oh, that's
huge,
fantastic.
yeah.
That'll be a huge help. Huge
For you
help.
guys wanting to know, that was something you had been asking about. How do we get the addresses and owners' names to these buildings? And the county was able to facilitate that. So
Yeah.
we now have every building owner's address.
Yep, yep, you've got all of that, so.
Is that something that can be shared,
Yeah, I mean, that's something that can be
Mhm.
shared.
just so we
That's-
have it?
Mhm.
Yeah.
In case
Yep.
we're working on anything, we can all have a
Yeah, I
copy.
mean, it's all downloaded on the.
Well, I have it too.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and it's all on the computer, and I'm gonna be working with Elizabeth tomorrow, and I'll show her where it's at. It's all saved in the 2021 plan update folder in the computer, so you'll have everything that's there.
Lisa, of all those tags, how many of them actually have people's names on them, or are, like,
They
I
all do.
received a couple of them.
A lot of them
You would have to
had,
know that that's me, and there's no way of you knowing that. So most people hold property in LLCs or.
I wanna say there was a mixture, but Bill, I was just folding letters and, you know.
You kind of like wonder, who was the 123 South Main?
Right, and I will tell you, only one of them came back, and it was for the lock building.
Oh, that makes sense.
So, I mean, that was the only one that came back, but there's a lot of LLCs, there's a lot of,
LLCs.
there's a lot of LLCs, but I mean, then there's just, everybody, just their name and address, so,
Just curious.
yeah, quite a few, but it was a huge help.
Mhm.
I'm
So
glad
that
that
is all
people
out.
were actually reading them. The village saw a fairly significant amount of people coming in, asking for the master plan. I'm sure that it's due to the last paragraph of this letter, which I don't know who drafted that or why it's worded such. It's very deceiving, and it was very troublesome.
Well,
Once they saw the plan and saw the wording in there that said no one is being displaced,
Exactly.
they were a little bit more set at ease. But the way this is worded, I expect, some people to come to the public hearing,
yeah,
and I don't know, who actually approved that.
well, that is what Amanda sent, and I do believe that is, from my understanding, the way that I perceived it, and the way that I understand it, that's probably a very generic letter for anybody that has a DDA and they're setting that aside. And as I explained to Kelly, there are two properties, so the Zaco property on Lafayette Street, that is within the DDA district. If the DDA were to purchase that, and you just decided that 30 days we're tearing them down, and there's people living there, you have to have a way to, place those people, you can't just kick them out on the street.
I
So that's
understand
what
that,
that-
but this doesn't talk about any specifics.
Right,
This talks about
right.
people being displaced,
Right,
right? That's alarming
It
to our
is.
residents, to our
Mhm.
business owners who do not know, who don't know what the DDA does, who is on the DDA, who do
Right.
they even call?
Right.
They were quite upset, to be
Oh.
perfectly honest with
Oh,
you,
yeah.
coming into the village office. And again, once we gave them the maps, we gave them the packet that was presented,
right. And,
everything was smooth. But I don't know how many other people who didn't bother to come in that were also
right.
quite alarmed.
And I'm sure when you have the public hearing, maybe have Amanda address that be one of the very first things that she addresses. I believe it is a very generic letter for anybody who's updating a DDA plan. You know, you get into cities like East Point, places like that. So.
To be honest, to be perfectly honest, I was kind of surprised to receive the letter as a business owner, but not being aware of the meeting as a DDA member. I got the letter addressed to the building, but I wasn't aware that there
We
was.
talked about this last month.
We didn't schedule a meeting though.
Yeah, we
never
did.
talked about a
Yes,
date.
yes.
Yeah, we
yeah,
did.
The
It had to be
18th?
scheduled.
It had to be scheduled.
Oh, well then I don't recall.
It's in the minutes.
I saw it in the newspaper.
Yeah, the public hearing, but our meeting, in last month's meeting, talked about the public hearing date.
Which is the village council,
Right.
not the DDA.
It's not a
That's
DDA
why-
meeting.
Well, I know, but it looked as though it was addressed by the DDA.
Yes.
Even though it's a village meeting, and that's what was surprising to me, that it was a DDA letter addressing it, but, it's a village meeting.
Again, Amanda drafted the letters. It was a public hearing notice. That was the way that the public hearing notice needed to be written, and that's how she wrote it, so. And it was published in the paper twice, per the requirement, so. But it is scheduled for the 18th, October the 18th, and it
At
has
the
to
village
go-
council's
at the-
meeting,
Yes, it
yes.
has to be,
Mhm.
it's not a public hearing on the DDA's end, it's because you are a creature, the DDA is a creature entity of the village. So it has to be heard for the village council.
Right, yeah.
Right.
Zach, I texted you about that, I was confused too. I went back to my text, I texted you about, I had a note about Monday, October 18th meeting, is there a specific reason? You and I both kind of, I just must have missed in my notes, but that's why I wrote down October 18th.
Yeah, it made it appear as though it was a special meeting we were hosting as opposed to
Yeah.
being at the.
Yeah, okay.
Well, Amanda did explain to us when she was here in September that she, on behalf of our organization, would be at this public hearing with the village council.
Given the rampaging number of people who are interested in coming to our informational meetings, it could be a very short meeting.
Yep.
I agree.
I was just happy to know that people actually read it. I mean, they came in and asked for the map. I mean, I was encouraged by that. They actually opened it.
Right.
That was not a bad thing. Just saying the wording was,
Well, and
Just a
having
little
not
bit
ever
misleading.
written one of those, I had no idea if that was correct or not.
Some things are statutory, you have to say
Right.
things that
Mhm.
that are said there.
Lisa, was that the,
I did, so the DDA plan update, the very first one she sent, the one that you actually have a copy of is very high resolution, and
you can't, I tried
It's
to copy it.
impossible, yeah.
And then send it on to you guys, it's impossible
so
to.
I asked them to shrink it and make it smaller, and they did, and I still couldn't put it
Really?
on the website, so she created a link, so you just go there and you highlight the link, and then it will take you right to it, so there was nothing I could do with it, so. I did answer some questions about the last paragraph of the notification. Talked with Ray a little bit, updated him after the approval for the pricing. Got the contract signed for the fall lighting and for the holiday lighting.
Are they,
The bills
do we know when they're doing the polls?
They're, the Halloween lights are up.
The lights are on?
Mhm.
Oh, I guess
They
I
went
haven't
up
been
Friday
that
night. Yep, they went up Friday night.
But no one's on.
Nobody's home?
but the
That's it.
pumpkins and the decor look very nice.
They do.
Yeah.
In the pot, so.
He did a great job,
Yes.
yes.
Yep,
All right, Lisa, thank you.
you're welcome.
Don't believe we have any committee reports. So that brings us to welcoming our brand-new executive director, Elizabeth Miller, who's joining us here tonight. You want to just do a little introduction, Elizabeth?
Sure, and the only person I wasn't familiar with was Mr. Parker, so I met him before the board meeting, so I've kind of hit the ground running first thing this morning, and there's a lot to do. So I want to thank you for entrusting you with the future of the DDA, and I look forward to work with you and take the DDA into 2021 and on. And I found a famous quote today, and then I found the rest of it that I'd never heard before. And, Rome wasn't built in a day, but bricks were laid every hour. So the foundation has got to be, there already is a foundation, but there's a lot that has to be excavated and looked at, and the cracks need to be fixed and whatnot. And I know you haven't had a full-time person for quite some time, so it's going to take a bit. So I ask for your patience, and I have, as you know, quite a bit of experience being in her seat, not in this seat. So I'm very familiar with how meetings are run and how open meetings runs, and FOIA, all those things. I'm very familiar with that. So I look forward to you guys giving me the ability to work within rules and regulations and all that type of stuff. I already have a meeting set up with the DDA director, actually in Marquette on Friday. I'm going to be up there for my daughter's family weekend, and so the director there is pretty excited about meeting me and vice versa. I think we can really help each other out in some ways. So yeah, I'm looking forward to bringing stuff to you, and wait till you see what I have for you already tonight. So thank you.
Well, welcome, and we look forward to working with you and moving our DDA forward. Okay, the parking study pricing. Did everybody read over Rose's 2 letters that were in your packets? So the last time when Paul came to us in September's meeting, Christine and I had asked him to come up with a proposal that kind of shocked both of us with what he came back with was it $41,000? So then we asked him to go back and come up with an a la carte kind of proposal just to get us rolling. And so that was, he came back to us with the overview, aerial overview, and staking out, or not staking, but mapping out who belongs to what in the quadrants. He agrees that part of our problem is we have a enforcement problem, but first if we can find out, using the aerial photographs, find out who are private owned spaces, who are public owned, and do an inventory of what we actually have, that's a starting point, I think. Christine, do you have any?
No, right, Paul, the first proposal, that 41,000, was pretty extensive. I mean, that was parking literally A to Z and then some in between.
Mm-hmm.
But I think with the data that was in those 2 old parking studies that we've reviewed from the 80s and one from the 90s, I think a decent starting space is really just to establish what do we have, that inventory. I think that inventory needs to be done. And that's the $2,500 just in this second proposal, that a la carte that Kelly and I asked for. So if you think that that is something that we could at least start with, even though it's, the first plan would have addressed the parking study, but along with making a long-term plan for what we're going to do. But
for me, I think this is a stepping stone to figure out what's what.
What do we have? Yeah.
What do we have?
I would question one statement in this letter, and that's that the village has never had parking meters.
Yeah, I saw that too.
Yeah, they did a long time ago,
Yes,
didn't
they did.
Yeah,
They
the
were-
60s?
Yeah, and they were
Yeah.
hated. They were hated.
Well, you know what? That's fine.
Kate,
Okay.
There's a statement in there that's simply not true. And,
Are you talking about the single letter or the proposal letter? Which
no,
one?
I'm talking about
Because there's 2, they're both dated the 23rd, which is unfortunate.
I think it's the
But
first letter.
one says Dear Christine and one says Dear Mrs. Malzahn, so the
Dear Christine.
Okay,
The
got it.
Christine letter says that there's never had.
Right, yeah, my
We've
dear
never had
Christine.
parking meters, and that's simply not true.
How much of that information is already on record somewhere? Wouldn't the police department have something on record as far as which spaces are 2-hour parking and which ones would have those limitations that could be ticketed?
I don't know the answer to that. I would have to ask them. I don't know why they would have that inventory. They would have probably zones to know that the area around the park is posted for a limited time parking. They would know that our ordinance doesn't allow for any overnight parking on the street or in our other municipal lot areas, with the exception of the ones that are privately owned, which would be Mr. Parker's spaces and a few that are designated to particular building owners. But I don't know that they have
Well, this would
any-
give them
any
an
sort of
inventory.
chart. I don't know. They may, I don't know the answer.
Yeah, and I think that's my biggest question is what would we do with that information of having that inventory, knowing what's public and what's private, like,
Stepping stone to figure out in people coming to town, we have these zoning restrictions on the buildings for limited parking, right? This would give us a pool of starting where, okay, what can we leverage? Do we have private owners that would like to be paid some money to let the village use these spaces? This is the first step to figure out, what is that, parking in lieu,
The payment in lieu of.
pavement in lieu?
Which both we and the planning commission waffled on making a
Right.
recommendation on.
So I'm redrafting that. It should be on village council's agenda for the 18th. I'm still trying to finalize some of the details for the zoning changes that have to be made. I'm working with Steve Casson in that, but it's pretty much modeled after what Rochester is doing for their payment in lieu of. Although theirs is a lot more detailed, because they had a professional company do the huge study that actually had a whole designated parking area management system in place. So they have a whole process and enforcement officers, right? And language that basically talks every specific parking area in the village or city of Rochester. So it's a lot more detailed, but I am working hopefully to at least get a fee established and some of the language that needs to start happening changed.
Can I ask a question?
Mm-hmm.
So I remember from a couple months ago, I remember Mr. Tarr was saying in one of your board meetings that I was watching, you guys were talking about just figuring out, is this public parking or is this a business, and trying to get that rented. So you all want me to be communicating and establishing a rapport with all the businesses in town, and part of that would be understanding who's parking is what. And then if there's ever a place to then say, hey, during these certain events, can we use these parking spaces, and whatever that is between the village and the DDA board, how that's managed. Without this, you would be paying me to go and do, it would take me a really long time to figure that out if that was something you wanted someone
But
else to do.
isn't some of this delineated in the previous parking study, which I know she hasn't had time to get me a copy of it. I'm not gonna vote for this until I see a copy of the last parking study and see what we're doing
You saw
differently.
a copy of the last parking
I
study.
asked for a copy. I'm sure you sent me one months ago, if you'll check the last meeting I was at. I asked for one, I have not gotten one.
Okay, that's fine.
if this is something that is, but this is a starting point so that the village can leverage and define fees that they're going to be collecting. So why is it a DDA expense?
One, because it's in the downtown development district, right? It's in your area. It also is part of the DDA's mission to help businesses stay competitive, to help them establish and identify areas that they know they need help with. Parking is the biggest one that we've heard of. And so if the DDA were to take charge in a parking scenario recommendation, whether it's meters or no meters, right? Whether it's enforcement or no enforcement, whether it's opportunities that we can see established in our area, maybe learning from other DDA directors, what do they do to address this problem with their businesses, right? That's how that collaboration between the village and the DDA is successful
Right.
in helping solve the problems.
But
So-
don't we ultimately not have a say in that in the end? Isn't that up to planning and the village directly? Like, it's not, the DDA wouldn't physically be able to put in the meters, collect those funds, and use them as a revenue stream.
The DDA absolutely could recommend, based on your budget, a joint project, just like we're doing with the pedestrian crosswalks, right, to purchase, to develop property, whether it's the Zaco property that was just identified, that perhaps you want to expand parking there, right? There are many ideas and projects that don't have to be solely funded by the DDA, but there is some capital money that's set aside for those bricks and mortar projects, whether that's utilizing the parking study to put dumpster corrals in, right? You know you're gonna have to, you want dumpster corrals, where are you gonna put them? If we had a parking study that identified all the spaces, maybe we could utilize that for this board's purpose.
But it's not necessarily going to create new spaces. It's going to be able to allow future businesses to come in and potentially purchase existing spaces so that they can be in, be approved to even be in the
That's only for
spaces.
change of use. So the first floor, right, which is commercial, doesn't necessarily apply to that payment in lieu of.
But doesn't every business need a certain amount of spaces?
It depends on what their use is. Yep, it depends on what their use is and how that fits. So the two that are questioned right now is because they want to add a mixed use to the building, adding residential. They don't have parking for that use. They have parking for their ground floor, whatever they're gonna put in that, but not for the changes that they wanna propose to levels 2 and 3.
Zach, other communities do in fact have payments in lieu for a change in use, i.e. you want to put a bar in where you've got a knitting shop. A bar, and that's just a wild example.
Sure.
A bar has conversationally a need for 60 spaces. A knitting shop needs 5. And it's quite conceivable someone new wanting to move in, a new food establishment would in fact have a requirement to pony up $400,000.
It would also be a useful tool for business recruitment. If you want to recruit businesses to come into this town, you're gonna have to help them with not only maybe a tax incentive, but also to make sure that they have parking, right? That they have everything that they need to be successful here. So again, I think it's a tool that has, the current one is outdated from the early, 1990s. So we're talking 20 years old, right? It's a fee of $2,500, and I think it's a useful tool.
I'd
What
like,
was that last part you said? It's a fee of $2,500?
That's what Rose's proposal was, $2,500.
no.
Spaces or something.
No, for him to do the study.
Understood.
So it's basically gonna be aerial shots with highlighted areas, a key that says this is public, private, 2-hour, correct, basically?
That's my overview of what that would entail.
They're also gonna do a table of inventory of the parking spaces divided by the quadrant. The table will identify whether the spaces are public or private, and if private, identify which property they are located on. Parking restrictions as staff only or 2-hour limit will be identified on the table.
I think it's a good thing, and I hate to think that this could go by the wayside of other stuff, that it just kind of gets tabled and never but we're gonna have to really hold, I think, the village sort of accountable to them working with this information and pushing it along, because we do need this intel, and it does play into the whole dumpster corral, the whole maintenance of the parking lot, whose pothole is it, how can we help to get it fixed, can we stripe it, put some bumpers there, some signs there, all these things. Right now, I think it's everybody gonna point to each other, well, that's not even mine, why would I do that, I don't know who owns that, but I've been using it for a decade, and these types of things. So, I'm for it, but I know it's the tip of the iceberg, and we got a lot more work to do, and I hope it perpetuates it.
Well, I go back to the original argument of enforcement. If we get this map laid out and the DDA pays $2,500 and goes to the village council and says, this is the map that we have, we're showing you where limits are, is there going to be enforcement as a result of our efforts? And based on our previous conversations, it sounded like that wasn't a possibility.
Are you saying that the previous study does not have this information in it?
I can't speak to that. I don't know whether it does or not.
Has anyone seen the previous study?
I've,
So we can address that question.
I've received a copy of it in the past, yeah.
Previous study did not have the table of contents that
Yes.
listed.
I'm sorry,
It may
Kelly?
not have been labeled that way.
The former study did not have this parking inventory table in it, where it lists who's public, who's private,
That's right.
what are the restrictions. It did not have that in it.
She's right. Yeah, I agree. Zach and I studied it fairly, we walked around that quadrant behind my building over by the hardware, and we really studied with that map in hand, and it doesn't give that intel like this is talking about. And we do need it, it's a starting point.
And what is it, but based on that note, Greg, when we walked that, could we make an observation on every spot and know what these spot, how is Roe getting that information? How are they going to know specifically which ones are private and public if they're not
We're probably
labeled?
gonna hopefully juxtapose it to or overlay it to the plat maps and things like that. I would hope some of that work's done well. You know, these guys seem to be pretty thorough.
I'm going to make a proposal that we accept Roe's offer of the parking space map and the parking inventory table for the fee of $2,500.
I'll second that if that's needed.
Roll call, Lisa?
Is it?
Stevens,
Yes.
Hart,
Yes.
Humphries.
Yes.
Grant,
Yes, I guess. I have a couple questions, but
Rose,
Yes.
Hayes,
No?
Melvin,
Yes.
Kazansky,
Yes.
Parker.
Present.
So it has been no, yes?
Present. It's not a yes.
Your motion carries.
Okay. All right.
If anyone
Just-
has a copy of the previous study, I'd like to see it.
Okay, where are you going to be? I'll bring it to you.
Drop by my office, it's open 9 to 5.
Okay.
Just to clarify, is this contact that Elizabeth will make with Paul? Or is that something that
I
you
can
want me
take
to
care of that tomorrow.
contact him to just
She
let
can
him to
get-
know?
We'll take care of that tomorrow, sure.
Okay.
In fact, I think, when I was looking at his name, I think I've worked with him before on the Macomb Orchard Trail project about 12 years ago. So that'll be a good reconnection.
If you need
so.
some assistance, just let me know.
Okay, perfect, thank you.
So also to clarify then regarding schedule, this talks about 3 weeks, so we're talking about 3.5 weeks from now is what we're
We'll find out.
shooting for, correct?
We'll
Well,
find out.
when they can get it on their schedule, right? 3 weeks' time from,
It's completion.
right, but when they can put it on their schedule.
It'll take 3 weeks to complete, but that doesn't mean they're gonna start tomorrow, I guess is what Kelly's saying. So it may be 2 weeks before they can put it on their schedule, and then 3 weeks to complete it. But we don't know that until we
It
find
seems
out.
more likely that they would be some number of weeks down the road.
They're probably gonna want a 50% deposit, which in the previous instances, working with Roe, is what the village has done, but I'm sure Carol can accommodate that and get
I would
payment
just make a
over.
motion to authorize her to, if we're telling her to spend $1,250.
No, we
Well, you
already
just did that with the motion. You just did that with the,
Okay.
what just got approved,
Yeah.
just got taken care of with that.
So Elizabeth, you'll figure out the time schedule and that.
Yep.
With them.
I will, sure.
Okay.
So just a question for clarity. So in other instances like this, where there's something that's a scheduling, and is that usually communicated to the board in between board meetings? Is it just posted, or is it just put in the director's report as far as how that all comes out? What's the protocol? What practice have you guys been using for that?
Well, typically, Lisa would only put it in her director's report. She wasn't communicating via email, but if you want to start a different format, I'm open to that.
Okay. All right, I'll figure that out first.
Kelly, the terms of the contract said that we don't have to pay them until 30 days after invoicing.
Okay, perfect. All right. Okay, phone proposal. So, the flip phone is broken.
Right there.
It's a slidey phone. It slides up and down.
It's not a flip
really
phone?
fancy.
So
No,
that's
it doesn't
even-
flip.
that's
It's not, it
older
doesn't
than
look like a
flip
burner. It's like even older, I think. I'm not sure.
Those
All right,
sidekicks.
so Elizabeth has done a little research, and she can talk about what you found out.
Sure. So, going back and forth on trying to figure out, should I have a separate phone for the DDA? Should I not? What's the best way to separate work and home and all of those things? And, reading a lot of reviews, and opinions are all over the place, whether you should, like any other thing. There's a lot of opinions on both sides of it. There are apps that will support a separate phone number, but they have a very high failure rate. And one of the things I think when you have a new director, you don't want people communicating and going back and forth saying, I can't hear you, I'm late, phone call dropped. I mean, what level of professionalism do you want the DDA office to have? So I'm hoping that with these few things tonight, you're going to see moving forward, you really want to have a good foundation for this. So the simplest thing, and honestly, it's probably going to be the most cost effective as well, there's something called, I have always have to look it up. Give me 1 second. I'm not familiar with that. Okay, a dual SIM card. So I have an Apple iPhone. Anybody familiar with a dual SIM? Okay, so basically what that means is, I can't believe I'm going to teach somebody about this. Don't ask me too technical of questions though. So a dual SIM card basically means my phone will still be my phone, but I can port in another phone number that already exists, and so it would be in the phone. But if at any time I'm no longer in this position, or say a number changes or whatever, that number can be transferred to somewhere else, it can be deleted, anything like that. But it needs a new phone. This is a 7. This is an iPhone 7, so it won't support it. You have to have 10 and above in order to support it. The wonderful thing about it is, just like a landline or a separate phone, when I'm not working, I can toggle it off. Still goes to voicemail when I'm working again. Just like if you were in an office and you had a regular phone. The functions, it can be very clean. The other benefit, of course, is if you want Facebook updated, if you want any other type of photos taken around town, if you want the DDA to be in the 21st century, you have to have the proper equipment for that. So the simplest thing would be, if I got a phone upgrade, right now I'm with Sprint, T-Mobile just bought them out. So they are offering like this ridiculous amount of money for this old phone because they're trying to keep their clients. So basically it would be an additional charge onto my phone. The simplest thing, because it would still be my phone, is if you guys just did a stipend. Probably the easiest thing to do is to take your budget amount and just divide that by 12. Carol and I figured that out earlier. I wouldn't need anything more than what you were suggesting earlier. So I think it averaged to like $70 a month.
So what she's proposing is, instead of paying AT&T, we would give her the stipend, what we've already got in our budget of $70 per month, that she would have this phone line on her phone.
So the number would remain the same. It would still be 752-7511. Is that the phone number?
1170.
Sure, I'll memorize it. I just don't have it memorized yet. But it would be a cell phone number, but it would be so the other nice thing is, so for example, if I see the phone ring and Kelly is calling me, I will see that is a business number, and I'm going to be answering it as Romeo DDA, not hello, this is Elizabeth. If my daughter calls me, I'll see it's the personal number because she's calling my personal number. So it really helps to delineate business and personal quite smoothly. And have one less thing to be
And
towed
because
around.
it's 2 SIM cards, I think that takes the FOIA thing.
I believe you're correct on that.
The FOIA thing with the SIM card for the DDA is separate from your personal phone.
That was going to be my question, so that your personal number and information wouldn't be accessible, correct?
Correct. I believe
Right,
that's correct.
because they would only be using for FOIA the DDA SIM card.
Correct.
Yes.
That's my understanding.
Why? We've had our personal numbers FOIA'd.
I haven't,
I'm not saying you
No.
personally, but other members of this board have. So
but
it's-
you were using your personal, you didn't have two different SIM
Well, that's
cards.
what I mean, though. Regardless, if it doesn't exempt somebody from, if they're talking DDA business via
It's
text message.
DDA, it's DDA, not her personal.
Right, but I'm saying, if she is, can you text from that 752 number
I can. Mhm.
as the 752 number?
Yes, correct.
Okay.
What's the difference in cost than just getting a separate phone?
What you guys currently pay, the
I
bill.
mean, you've got a junk phone, we need a new phone. What's a real phone gonna cost?
What is, if you were to purchase an iPhone?
Yeah,
Oh, well, the purchase price is like $900.
okay.
Yeah. You can pay me that if you want to, but I'm not asking for
I've
that.
routinely seen people I'm working with have two phones because
Sure.
it's too easy to make a mistake. And they know it's a business call or it's one of the kids. And
Mhm.
it's.
But the
that's-
technology of this two SIM card,
I understand
It's
it's
changing
very
that.
new and.
It's very new.
and I
It's
deal with
actually
a
not
lot
new.
of
It's been
people who
around
are
for 3 or 4
dinosaurs.
years.
That's the reason I'm saying,
It's like having two
why
computers.
don't we just, because.
because I
if-
think for her, it would be easier for her not to carry two phones around.
So that's my proposal. To answer your question, Bill, I believe let's see, Lisa, you probably could answer this better. I'm looking at this, but it looks like you guys already pay 55 flat with fees and everything attached to it. It's like 63 something a month is what you pay on a monthly basis for this old slider phone. I mean, so we're talking $7 more a month.
Yeah, I think ultimately, it's gonna be whatever you think is easiest for you to
Right.
manage. If it's one phone, if
Yeah.
it's two phones, if you're comfortable doing the one with this setup, I would make a motion to approve the phone proposal
What else
with
do
the
we
dual
have
SIM
to
cards.
pay besides the
That's it.
stipends?
That's it.
How much is the stipend you asking for?
70 a month.
70 a month.
70, so it's
Which
like-
was when you figured the 850 was the budget amount and you divided that by 12, I think that equaled to 70. When we did that in your office earlier today.
Okay, because we currently pay 63.
Right.
So that'll go to 70, so $7 is no big deal.
Right.
I personally think we're better off getting a second phone.
But,
Okay?
okay,
But
So
if
is there-
she chooses to leave, she's gonna pull a SIM card and,
Well, one, I'm more professional than that, but
No,
two,
I-
you can transfer it quite easily to another carrier or another phone. I mean, it's really nothing just to transfer it to another phone.
Because the DDA still owns the number, it's
Right.
not
Mhm.
going
I
to
understand that,
Elizabeth.
Zach. I'm just saying what I've seen.
Right.
Well, let's be very clear too, if that phone was lost right now, when you talk about pulling the SIM card, I don't think there's probably anything on that phone that would matter if that got lost right now. Is there anything on that?
You mean the DDA phone?
DDA?
There's a few things. It was charging when I left the office today, so I don't even
I
know.
wouldn't worry about it.
so did you make a motion,
I
Zach?
think Elizabeth does what she needs to do with the $70, in my opinion, we move on to some stuff.
Okay, so
We-
Zach has made a motion to go with what
Accept the,
Elizabeth
phone
is.
proposal for the $70 per month for the dual SIM cards.
I'll second.
Another question,
Okay.
a dual SIM card, is it two SIM cards?
So.
Or is it a SIM card?
So
that
there's the regular
acts as
one
dual?
that comes with the phone, and then it's an eSIM, so it's an electronic SIM. The way they explain it, when you watch it online, or if you talk to anybody at any of the carriers, the other one. So so gift card. Like I have a gift card that I got from a friend for your shop, right? So it has each one. It might have the different those QR codes. So that QR code has to be used at T-Mobile or AT&T or Verizon or whatever. Then they add the eSIM into the body of the phone that I'm using. And then if that ever gets eliminated or you don't want to use it anymore, it's quite simple to take it off or transfer it to another.
But
It's an electronic
Will
SIM
it be
card.
belonging to, will it have the DDA's name on it at all, or will it be belonging to you?
The phone itself.
Well, the ownership of that?
The SIM is just it's like it's not an app, so I don't want to say it's an app, but it's a
But it would
piece of
show-
data that you get to use within a more modern device.
So it would show up, though, as the DDA, not as
Correct.
Elizabeth Miller.
Right, I will change, yeah, exactly.
Right.
Mhm. Right.
John, did you have any more?
Just my only word of caution would be to make sure you do know, as far as FOIA, that it wouldn't pertain to any of your other information, any of your personal information.
Okay.
I don't know that. I don't know if anybody in this room knows that for a fact,
Sure.
but that'd be my
Well, I'll
only
tell
word
you,
of
for
caution.
probably the last 10 or 12 years on the Romeo District Library Board, we've been giving a stipend to our director for at least 12 years because we know they're doing business, with their personal phone. And so instead of dealing with buying them a phone and figuring all that stuff out, it's just like, use whatever phone you want. Here's an amount that you can.
No, I'm
Yeah.
fine with all that. It's just for your
Yeah.
protection is all.
Sure.
Okay,
No,
so-
thank you. I'll look into that.
Zach made the motion, I seconded it.
Mhm.
Lisa, can you do a roll call,
Yes.
please?
Zach?
Yes?
Sorry, Amy Stevens?
Yes.
Parker? Kazansky?
Yes.
Rose?
Yes.
Brandt?
Yes.
Malzahn?
Yes.
Humphries?
Yes.
Carr?
Yes.
Motion carries.
Thank you. So you will take care of all that.
I will take care of all that. The only thing I don't know, after 2.5 hours of being on phone with AT&T today, still got no answer because apparently they're down just like all the other things are throughout the world. But we need apparently there has to be a PIN as
Oh,
a
they never could
passcode.
figure that out?
They still couldn't figure that out, but they said if anyone has logged on to the website to pay a bill or anything, that password should be the PIN in order to transfer that number somewhere
Carol,
else.
do you log on to, no?
So how did you pay the bill
I
today?
send them a check
How did you pay the bill today?
today.
Over the
I called
phone?
them up.
Okay. Okay, all right, I'll get on the phone with them again
She said,
tomorrow.
I
and-
wanna give you guys some money, and they said, okay.
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 It wasn't hard.
Okay. And then next, Elizabeth found a conference that she would like to attend in November. You want to talk about that a little bit? It's
Sure.
on in your packet, or it was on the table when you came in.
Sure. So the Michigan Downtown Association, it was something that Lisa had posted up in the office, and I was reading that, and then when I went to check the mail before I left, this was sitting in there. And I thought, oh my gosh, I can't believe this is right around the corner. So I made copies of that. I contacted Lisa, said, is this something that I could, show to the board tonight? And I highlighted, I would only be able to attend one day, which is Thursday the 4th. I'm not sure if I'll do it remotely or in person, but those are both options. These are all things that, when I met with the hiring committee, these are things that I talked about that are necessary moving forward. These are visions that I saw, and so to see them them be topics on the agenda for this, I was pretty excited about seeing that. So, there's a lot of ways that the DDA can work with the chamber, work with the village, and so forth. And so it would be really helpful to be able to get in and talk with some of these people and hear some of this. So the cost is $100 for a one-day session, and I would be utilizing every single session on that day. So
Elizabeth, really quick,
Sure.
the pricing and these dates on the second page are all
Yeah.
for 2019. Do we know if that's the same rate for this year?
Oh, so that's a good, you know what, because I was printing this at home, I took that from their website, and then I copied the other one because I couldn't figure out how to do it from their website. So I'm looking at the registration form that came in the mail today. It's $100.
Okay, so it's still the same pricing?
Yeah, I didn't realize that said 20, so their website must be wrong for some reason. But yeah, it says conference 2021, the one-day rate for the 4th or the 5th is $100. And I spoke with their director today. She called me back to confirm, because I wasn't sure if we were members or not, but Lisa told me that we are. But it's the same rate. It's $100. And then from that, and this is something that I've spoke with Kelly about, you would, of course, have a report of what was learned and what was gained from that and how that's going to help move the DDA forward.
I think it'd be helpful to attend, and just especially so early
Right.
Into your time here with the DDA. I think it'll be an eye opener and probably produce some good ideas. And I know we only have $100 budgeted, I think, for this year for the conferences, just
Oh,
because we've
okay.
never done it before, so this is all in line with that. So I would make a motion to approve Elizabeth's request to attend the Downtown Revival 2021 conference.
Support.
Hayes,
Yes?
Kuznanski,
Yes.
Rose,
Yes.
Grant,
Yes.
Tar,
Yes.
Humphries,
Yes.
Melzan,
Yes?
Parker,
Yes.
Stevens.
Yes,
Motion carried.
thank you, appreciate that.
Lisa, do you have another one of those sheets? I didn't get one.
I have it here.
Never mind, Bill gave me it.
Giving away your sheets.
Okay. Let's move on to board member comments. Carol, do you have any comments?
Not this time.
No? You want me to check back when we go around? Greg?
Not at this time, but based on what everybody else says, I may.
I'm not giving you guys a second chance.
Reserve the room.
Bill? No. Christine?
I have a couple. One, I just didn't know if any of the other board members were attending the public hearing on the 18th, Monday night. So it would be,
I cannot and Elizabeth cannot, so,
I'll be there.
but Amanda will be there, right?
Right.
Yes. So,
and Amanda will. be
Amanda
there.
will be
Yes.
there to represent
So maybe
the
a
DDA, right?
conversation with Amanda
Should
before
someone be
that
there?
date, yeah.
somebody should be there, right?
Yeah.
That's why I'm asking
Yeah.
who's attending. So,
Oh, it'd be nice.
perfect. So we'll put down Bill and Amanda. Second, homecoming parade is Wednesday, October 13th. So mark your calendars for that. The route is coming from the Lions Field, Washington Street, up Van Dyke to Newberry, back into the Village Park. That's at 6 o'clock. So there'll be some road closures just a few minutes in advance of that. There'll be posted signs in downtown, no parking. And Shred Day, Bruce Township Village offices are scheduling doing a joint shred day, October 16th. That's here in the parking lot, 361 Morton Street, from 9 to noon. It's also electronics, so you can bring your unwanted paper. Businesses are invited to attend. We will check IDs. It's limited to 6 banker boxes, so, yeah, October 16th. Mark your calendars. And just real quick, the soil borings for the pedestrian crosswalks have been done. We had to notify all 12 tribes of the state of Michigan and the Historic District Commission because of our historic designation, just making sure that they're aware that if there's any excavating and they would find any remains, they would have some sort of jurisdiction over that. I learned something new. So far, we've only had, a thank you, but no thank you from one of the tribes. But we're progressing, and so things are moving along on the crosswalks. That's it.
John?
A couple things, just really excitement as far as things coming up. It's October, obviously, which is a big month around here, I believe. At least business owner, speaking as far as a business owner, starting off with this Friday, I don't know if Kelly's going to talk about it, but very excited about Art and Wine Walk. There's actually a few things all going on that same evening. I don't know who's aware of it. Art and Wine Walk being one. Empty Bowls being another one, taking place actually in the back of our coffee house. And then Starkweather has an event. There's also a concert at Masonic Lodge. So Friday night is probably going to be a big night around here. I also I also volunteered to just kind of help promote a little bit regarding October. Masonic Lodge having their haunted house, which is building. I don't know, maybe know how many years it's been now. Is it 3 or 4 years, I'm thinking?
I think
Seems
this
like
will be
it's
their fourth.
building
Yeah.
every year, even with wonderful last year goes. The dates I've been told, and this isn't official, but I'm pretty sure, starting Thursday, October 21st, would be that Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday, those 4 days, 21st, 22nd, 23rd, 24th. And then again the following week, the Thursday, Friday, Saturday, October 28, 29, and 30. I'm told 7 PM to 10 PM minimum. If there's people, they're not gonna close it on you, but, just a good thing, I think, for the area to promote. I know that there'll be the Tilson Street project going on this month as well, so it kinda helps bring people up a little bit more north from there as well, the more we can get the word out, so.
Where is this? John, I couldn't-
Masonic
Masonic
Temple.
Yeah, the temple sets up, they've already begun setup, it's really quite extraordinary, if you hadn't seen it. Besides that, just simply a welcome, Elizabeth, and, look forward to working with you, and
Should pay attention to that.
hope I can help with some things as we move forward. Thanks.
That usually gets addressed here at this point.
You came up with something.
I was questioning about the Saturday before Halloween.
Oh, it is the Saturday before Halloween, the 30th, 11 to 1, trick or treating with the merchants. Is that what you're asking?
Yeah, I
Yes.
hadn't heard anything, so it's fine, okay.
We don't own that, do we?
No.
Nobody really owns it,
No,
it just
it's-
happens.
nobody owns it.
But I
Yep.
think the DDA does the prizes for the costume contest.
I think Parks and Rec does.
Oh, Parks and Rec does, you're right, okay.
They asked us years ago to take it over and we were all like, nope, no one's
Seems
touching it.
like they did some firings and stuff last time, or-
Right, I'm gonna ask village council to approve the road closure like we have the last couple of years, so.
Right.
Dang it, I don't get to
Yeah.
answer.
Police and fire, yeah, on both
Yeah.
ends.
So again, that is the Saturday, right next to Halloween, the 30th, trick-or-treating on Main Street from 11 to 1, and then Parks and Rec host a costume contest in some...
Party at the park.
Party in the park, right after the trick-or-treating.
I think they said 12:30.
Okay.
Yes, says their Facebook post. Yeah, 12:30.
Okay. Okay, and again, just to echo John, we are doing the Art and Wine Walk. I think it might have a big turnout this year, so that'll be awesome to get these people going through. We did have a hard time getting artists. I don't know what the deal was on that. I still don't have anybody for the office pub. So if you guys come up with any ideas, shoot them my way.
Did anybody reach out to Stephanie?
I did.
Oh, she couldn't do it.
No, mm-mm.
How many do we have total?
19.
Still
But
pretty
one of
good.
them does not have, the office pub does not have a,
So 19 businesses, 18 artists.
right.
Okay.
And the last time we did it in 19, right? We had 21 stops. And I don't know if you were here, the Congregational Church is where we ended up usually.
Right.
They are not participating, so they're coming back to the yard at the barn.
Was there ever discussion that an artist could consist of a musician?
Yes, because Michael Romano was going to have Ryan, but they have a family emergency,
Because
so
I was gonna propose find a music, there's,
for them.
I get musicians all the time asking to
Really?
have a venue, so I don't know specifically right now, but I
Okay.
can think about it.
Yep.
Try to find
Probably
some.
would be fitting,
Mhm.
you know.
Yeah,
For-
especially for them. I
for
think
them,
they're in a
yeah.
good spot.
Mhm.
Maybe, Sean Earl might be able to help
Oh, there you go, because he
Right.
is participating, yeah.
to find somebody.
That's a good idea, all right.
I
Zach?
got nothing.
No?
Nope, you answered my question about the road closure, so that was all.
But you said you had a question about the parking study.
Oh, it was a question about the enforcement. That was my only, if it can be, if we're not going to enforce parking during the daytime, that was my only sticking point on that.
Okay.
Because they're
That's
able
where
to,
we have to work to hold the village accountable, is, once we pay this money.
Megan,
Okay, welcome.
did you put the chalk out again this weekend?
no, the bank always puts it up.
Oh, that's like, who put that chalk
A
out?
couple people, the bank and then Shana Roofing have put out their own stuff.
Okay. Elizabeth, do you have anything to say?
Just that I think, one of the things that I'm looking forward to doing is, when I was communicating with Kelly and the hiring staff, is by going out and doing some collaborative work with other DDA directors around the state, and towards the end of October, I'm actually going to be in Atlanta, so I'm planning on meeting with some DDA people out there as well. some of the questions and concerns and fears and anxiety that's created about some of this parking stuff, I'm going to be bringing back information to you guys where it's working for other communities, how they collaborate with the chamber, how they're working with their village or their city or their counties or whatnot. That's one of the things with this conference that's going to be helpful too, is getting that information. And I know you haven't had anybody for a long time that's been taking care of it on a full-time basis. So again, just give us some time to figure that out. And to Greg's point, yeah, I mean it's more than just holding accountable. It's like, let's work together.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm looking forward to figuring out how to do that. So that's it.
Thank you. Lisa?
Well, thank you all again. I think we'll do a phenomenal job.
Lisa, when's your official, when will be your last meeting?
This is my last meeting.
This your last meeting?
I did say if they needed me to come to the meeting on the 18th, I would be happy to go. I'll be working with Elizabeth tomorrow night in the office, and then again next Monday. And
But you're around if we
I'm
need some.
around.
Yep.
Elizabeth has my number. You have my number.
Yep.
You all have my number. All you have to do is contact me.
Anybody wants to come and have lunch with us next Monday, you're welcome to. Maybe we can get somebody to bring us some food out and we'll figure it out. We'll be there.
Okay, can I get a motion? Oh, Carol, you came up with something, okay.
I just wanted to let the general public know that the haunted history tour is not going to happen this year. The trolleys with Jason are not, and they can contact him if they're interested in renting the trolley.
So he's the only one that's facilitating?
No, he has the trolley.
Okay, because this came up, somebody wanted to use it
Yes,
for,
we've been fielding phone calls.
okay. So, but the tours are not going to be happening.
Well, right now, they don't have a person to do the spiel.
Right,
And well, Jason could drive, but besides that, no.
okay.
He may do private rentals.
Mhm.
That's about it.
And to contact him, is it best to go through Earth Environments? All right.
Yes.
Okay. All right, can I get a motion to adjourn, please?
I'll make it.
I'll support.
All in favor?
Bye.
Good meeting, you guys, thank you.
Thank you.